In October 1940, my family was deported by the Nazis from a small town in the south of Germany to an internment camp in France. After some time, my parents were taken from there and transported to Auschwitz, where, with my older brother Gunther, they were heartlessly murdered. My name is Carl Hausman. I'm the only surviving member of that family. In 2010, 70 years after the deportation, I returned to the town that I never wanted to go back to. To give you an idea of the location of the town, Kirchambolanden, over here you see the letter A. It's southwest of Frankfurt, which is a main town, large town in Germany. And going south from there, it will be approximately the same distance to get to France, to the town of Strasbourg, which is also a large town. And the area in dark green here is the Black Forest of Germany, which is a very well-known tourist location. And you're probably familiar with the story of Hansel and Gretel that took place in the Black Forest region. My family and I were received warmly by some residents and officials. There were speeches and ceremonies and other events. On the left is Rochelle, my wife Rochelle, my son Lionel, my grandson Jeremy, wearing the fancy Gap shirt, and myself on the right.
And this is the place where we go, and afterwards we go to the place where the synagogue stood.
Right.
And there is the Paulskirche near the St. Paul's Cathedral, which is very famous because it has in it an organ which was played by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a famous musician.
Mozart played the organ in the town where we go, in this town.
He was in Kirchheim.
No, he was not French, he was German. Mozart was German.
German. You better say he was today Austrian.
He was Austrian.
See, he was Salzburg.
From Salzburg, right.
Yeah. You were in Austria too, I know.
When I was in the army.
Then what's Beethoven?
Beethoven is German, right?
But he's from Bonn. Beethoven, German.
He's German, right.
So...
Well, we still have time, Hans. It's only 9 o'clock, right? But you have other plans?
No, it's 10 past.
Oh, it is? Okay, I better fix my watch.
10 past 9.
10 past 9.
I am here all day long.
Right.
Picture. No.
I have a small picture with my brother. Right? When my brother was a very young child, I have a small picture, small photograph. Gretel was sitting and my brother was on her lap.
I see.
And he was about a baby. He was maybe 12 months old. Maybe
Something like that.
I have a very small photograph. But I know that we had a problem. I'm told, some of my relatives told me that when Gretel was sick, they would not permit her to go to the hospital.
That's a bad thing. Which
That may not be true.
Wherever I talk about your fate, I mention that.
Right.
And say, you will see how people can act. That's terrible.
Right. I'm not sure, okay? It's what I hear,
Yes.
people telling me, but I'm not sure. So we don't want to, I don't want to stress the bad things today. I want to stress the good things.
I can understand that.
Okay, but you understand what I'm saying.
And
okay?
I am happy that you face that.
Right.
Today, what comes onto you as to the remembrances, is that the right word?
Right.
Remembrances?
Yes. There were many bad things happening all over the world, and there are also good things happening. I want to stress the good things, not the bad things.
Yeah.
Many people helped me survive.
Yeah.
There were Christians, many Christians helped me survive. So there were good people. There were good people all over.
Yeah.
Even in this country.
In your book you spoke of good people and of villains.
Right. So You know, I'm very happy that we're able to be here today because for many, many years I could have come here. I was in Austria, I was in München, I could have easily come here, but I wasn't ready. You understand what I'm saying?
Everybody understands it when I tell them about your fate. Everybody says, I can understand it. That he has so much trouble to go in the place where he has experienced so many bad things.
Absolutely. I think I mentioned to you, my parents took me when the synagogue was burning. I was 5 years old.
It wasn't 38.
38, right.
When
And when I was 6, I couldn't go to school here anymore. I never went to school here.
you were sent to Mainz?
My brother and I took the train in the morning.
He told
We
me.
went to Mainz to Jewish school.
I know your fate.
And then I think this gentleman is coming here to see you.
Hello?
Hans Becker introduced us to some of the other people in the town that greeted us while we were there. Now standing next to Hans is Elmar Funk, who is a retired Protestant minister of the town. And next to him is his wife, Marie. She's a newspaper reporter, and she was involved in publishing some of the articles of our visit and also giving the background of our visit. And next to her, myself, my grandson, Jeremy. And next to him is Michael Juppe. He represented the town's mayor, who was away on an assignment. So these are the group of people, among the group of people, because there will be others joining us a little bit later on, who greeted us and took us around the town and showed us the interesting places that they wanted us to see. So we're going now to actually the town hall of that little town, which is actually not functioning as a town hall anymore. It's really an old building that's been there for several hundred years, I suppose, and that was the original town hall. And they use it now for functions. All right, this is the photograph of the reception that they did for us in the town hall, the old town hall. And on the right, you will see an individual who's a school teacher, and he was an interpreter.
You here personally.
Ich freue mich, dass der Verbandsbürger von der Verwaltung hier zu betreuen.
Mr. Juppe, the deputy of the mayor, is glad to have Axel Haas here. He is the mayor of the bigger administrative unit, about 20 communities, 16. And so he's the head of the administration for 20,000 people here in the area. When you had to leave Kirchambulanten 70 years ago under inhumane, terrible circumstances, and for you and your family, that was the beginning of a terrible period of suffering. He says, I can imagine that it wasn't easy for you to decide to come back here after so many bitter experiences. Today you'll see some places of your childhood in a city which has changed. Memories will come to you, memories of fear, suffering, suppression, memories that we'll try to share with you, even though we will finally not be able to. Memories of our little town in the North Palatinate, the town of your childhood. You will discover familiar and well-known things, but also new and unknown things. For us it is important that you have come here as a living reminder and a visible sign or token against oblivion. For it is part of our history, an indelible part of our history, the time in which you were forced as a child to leave our town, the terror rule of the Nazis from 1933 to 1945. Okay. A friend from long ago, a friend of your brother's, Mr. Hans Becker, has long-standing correspondence, has had a long-standing correspondence with you, and he has initiated your visit here and prepared this visit. Dear Mr. Becker, I welcome you cordially and thank you for your manifold efforts.
Sie, Herr Paul.
Okay. He's also welcomed Mr. Paul. He's from this institute in Kaiserslautern for Palatine history, culture, folklore, and his main concern is the history of the Jews in the Palatinate. Mr. Paul encourages the publication of your memories, and he has quoted you, Mr. Hausman, that it's your wish to pass on your experiences and your ideas to the younger generation and mankind in general, so that the little family from Kirchambolanden, like millions of others, have not died in vain.
Diese Erinnerungen, diese Mahnungen umwehen unsere Stadt immer wieder deutlich schwach.
These memories and this exhortation is again and again evoked and kept alive in our town. As the founder of the Kirchambolanden Peace Decade, which takes place every year, he has, with all his conviction and all his strength, fought against against the danger of falling in oblivion of the crimes of the Third Reich.
Am Platz der ehemaligen Synagoge werden wir nachher näher auf die Thematik noch eingehen.
At the site of the former synagogue, we'll say more about this.
Mit Frau Gudrun Bauer haben Sie auch schon korrespondiert. Sie ist ja gebürtig aus Kirchambolanden und wird Sie nachher bei der Stadtführung uns alle begleiten und unterstützen.
You have been in contact with Mrs. Gudrun Bauer. She is born in Kirchambolanden and she will support us in our tour of the town. I'm acting as interpreter for you today, and I've been a teacher of English at the local high school and also member of the town council, and I'm the deputy head of the administration of Donnersberg County.
Liebe Hausmann, liebe Familie Hausmann, an so einem Tag kann man natürlich nur einige Schwerpunkte setzen. Wir haben ein kleines Programm zusammengestellt, aber sind auch bereit, das umzustellen nach Ihren ganz persönlichen Wünschen.
Okay, dear Mrs. Hausman, dear Mr. Hausman, on a day like this, we can only focus on a few things. We have prepared a program for you, but of course it's up to you to decide what you will finally do together with us.
Wir allen danken Ihnen, dass Sie durch Ihren Besuch ein ganz besonderes Zeichen gesetzt haben. Herzlich willkommen, welcome in Kirchambolanden.
Thank you.
Well, I want to say a few words. Okay. I want to, first of all, I'm sorry, but my German is not so good anymore, so I have to speak in English. Okay? And I want to thank you all, especially I want to thank Mr. Beck,
Beck.
Hans, for your first letter to me was 17 years ago, and he invited me to come, but circumstances didn't allow it. So I'm very pleased that I was able to come here with my wife, my son, and my grandson, and to take part of what you have organized here. And I want to thank you all for all your efforts and to welcome us to Kirchambolanden.
Kann jeder etwas Englisch hier? Denke, es soll ich noch mal machen. Also er bedankt sich und ist.
I just want to mention to my family that Marie is a reporter, And she's written articles in the newspaper, not only from the town, but from the entire region. So she gave me a copy of the newspaper from Friday with an article about what's happening here today, and she's going to write another article about what's happening here. So thank you very much.
Ich denke, stoßen wir mit einem Stück Wein an, auf Willkommen. Wenn jeder oder auch etwas anderes oder Wasser oder.
You want to take some wine, Lana? You want to take some wine from the region? In that town hall where they greeted us, they had a book which they called their golden book. Each time there was an important occasion, they would ask the people who participated to write something about the event. So now you're looking at some of the things that I wrote. My grandson Jeremy also put his initials there. He wanted to make sure that he would also be included on that page. And an interesting part of what my son wrote, it was a great pleasure to finally visit the birthplace of my father and the town of his family that perished here. And later on he said, I think I made a mistake because the family didn't perish here. But he felt that later on, he said, well, maybe that's the thought that I had, even though it didn't actually occur in this place, but certainly it was the beginning of that process. What you're looking at here is the house where my family lived prior to the Hitler era and prior to our deportation in 1940. Of course, when you're looking at the house where my family lived 70 years ago, it looked different, because what happened is that the people who live there now had made some changes and alterations to the house. What you're looking at now is a monument which memorializes the people that were deported with my family. I think there were altogether 11 of them. Several people in the town, especially Elmar Funk, who you met earlier, decided to erect a monument of the people that were deported. In addition to the monument, he also went to the various concentration camps, the killing camps, and brought back stones and placed them also in the town, around the town area where the synagogue was destroyed. This lady that we met at the place where they had a commemoration of the synagogue, I met her there, and she identified herself to me and said that she had been a classmate of my sister, Gretel. She also had contacted diphtheria herself, but she was properly treated at the clinic of the town, whereas my sister, of course, was not permitted into the clinic. The Nazis did not permit my sister to be treated, and as a result, she died.
And her sister still has a phone. Vielleicht kann er das irgendwie kommen und kann vervielfältigen. Ich habe
Okay, now we're looking at the organ that I spoke about earlier in the Protestant church. And they told me that Mozart had actually been invited to play on that organ. when you're looking at this, it's basically another reproduction of the crest of the town. I guess going back in the Middle Ages, every town would have a crest. And what my son Lionel found interesting is that it was a boar that you're looking at, the animal. And the other day we were talking, and it said something about, oh, that's a Wildschwein. In German, it means a wild pig. That's what a boar is, a wild pig. Why would they have put that in the crest of the town? Maybe there were a lot of them around the area. I don't know. Interesting.
Means it may be useful to you.
Okay. I see.
How do you say it? What's the translation?
Roast.
It may be useful.
Maybe good for you.
R-O-S-T.
Maybe good for you.
It may be good for you.
Or useful, that's even
Well, it
more
should be good
literal,
for you.
yeah. Es möge nützen.
The restaurant where we're sitting here right now, having lunch, was originally, before Hitler's time, a kosher butcher shop.
Never gone international. But this was very exciting, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you.
Good, that's good.
Nice speaker. And he has given to you the historical chronicles of the town in 2 volumes and a yearbook of Donaldsburg County from maybe 10 years ago with articles on especially the Jewish population and Jewish contribution.
No, this is not my article. This is another article.
Another article.
But not on your family, some general.
Okay, so this
article.
was from what year?
99. I think my article on you was in 96 or 97, or? In the Jahr
I have it.
97 oder
2000 war die.
2000 so spät. Ah.
Ich habe auch mal
for the family.
ich habe auch mal einen Artikel geschrieben über die Synagoge hier.
I just want to
Muss
thank
96, 97 geschrieben sein.
2000.
Vom geschichtlichen Bilderbuch.
You can Wolfgang Steakhouse.
Yes.
It's in your
Das ist
camera
Egon
in
Gronau.
America's time.
That's
Da bist du an verschiedenen Vereinen. Dann müssen die Entwürfe machen. Das ist die Idee, da macht es
Sie war immer noch jung, aber
Jetzt ruht er da zurück, nachdem er so da am Tisch an die Alter erinnert hat.
es war nicht mehr weiß wie anwendlich.
Dann haben wir jetzt geteilt mit Amnesty. Ich habe da mal
that we
angerufen.
unveiled today. So beautiful sculpture. Very,
Aber
very
das ist ein Flyer.
Den Flyer wahrscheinlich nicht mehr. Aber jedenfalls
Wait, say that again. I didn't hear. Say it for the camera.
beautiful sculpture that was unveiled today.
And who was that? The artist? Was that the artist?
Yep.
Du weißt es
She
ja.
lives here in Kishambalanda.
Also der stand
Yes.
geteilt.
Ihr habt jetzt 2
Is she a commercial artist?
Die Größe
I
hast du.
think so.
Also sie sind größer,
Never met her
4 mal 3 Meter.
But we'll meet her later. As far as I understood, she comes for the dinner
Das
tonight.
handelt sich ja Richtung
she mainly does
Seniorenresidenz, weil da die
gravestones.
Grabungsstelle steht.
Oh, I see.
Das ist okay.
For the area, the whole area.
Schön, gell? So mit Ruhe.
Genau. Das war so, jetzt nach dem ersten ein wunderschöner Abschluss. Ja. Weil wir für uns waren, war natürlich auch was wert.
Ja, das ist voll wichtig, ja. Nicht so.
What did you have for lunch, Jeremy? French fries?
War auch da ohne an der Tafel. Das war
And
sehr schön.
noodles.
Everybody else had salmon and dill, and you had French fries and noodles. Okay, it's all right. It's okay. Maybe your tastes will change when you get older.
Hat es super gemacht.
Wenn die das
Die kann das.
I can't say it in English.
You can.
Jetzt zusammen schöne Gruß.
Ja, mag ich.
Also viel Spaß, vielen Dank, Wilfried.
Have a nice trip.
You too. Yeah. Enjoy Paris.
Thank you.
The Côte d'Azur.
Thank you.
Wir waren jetzt im Juli in Rom, auch auf eigene Faust.
Ich war noch nie in Rom.
Okay.
Ich war schon 3 oder 4 Mal und ich muss also auf eigene Faust immer schönst. Ja.
The most meaningful event for me was when we visited the Jewish cemetery that had been restored. And the cemetery had actually been restored many, many years ago. And this was very unusual in Europe because most Jewish cemeteries have been desecrated. So I have to give the people in the town credit that they did that work. Not only that, but part of the outside wall, which is made of stone, had crumbled due to age, and somebody had donated enough money to restore the wall and rebuild it as well. Now, the reason that this is important to me is because my sister, Carl Hausman, who was born in May 1925, I believe I'm looking at the photograph. She died in November 1933. I never realized that she died the same year that I was born. I was born in March of that year, and of course I was an infant when she died. But no one in my family had ever mentioned that she had died the same year that I was born. So to me, this was quite a revelation when I got there. The other thing that's very interesting is that when beyond her grave, there was a space provided for additional graves, but no additional graves were ever there because, of course, there were no Jews left anymore after the Hitler period. So that part of the cemetery is vacant. So she was probably the last people that died and was buried in that cemetery. Unfortunately, she died of diphtheria, and one of the reasons that she passed away is because when she got ill, she never had the proper care because they did not permit her to go into the hospital or the health facility that was necessary for her to recuperate. And as a result, she died at home. The other interesting part of the cemetery is that being that it's in a wooded area and it requires a special vehicle to go through the roadways, which are not paved, the fire department of the town provided us with a vehicle. And the ironic thing is, I was thinking about it later on, is that when they burnt down the synagogue, when the Nazis burnt down the synagogue in 1938, when I was 5 years old and I saw it burn, the fire department did not come to try to extinguish the fire. And here we are 70 years later, and they're providing transportation for us. That's kind of an irony.
Aufgestellt haben.
The International Organization for Reconstruction. They worked here together with men from the city of Kirchambolon.
Young people?
Yes, young people.
Young people that worked here to restore the cemetery because it was overgrown and neglected.
About 15 persons.
15 people. Okay. And they worked here for quite a while. It was a big job, right?
Also bevor der Friedhof hier angelegt wurde,
before the cemetery was created, was built, the Jews from Kirchambolon was buried in Gauersheim. It's a very old cemetery, Jewish cemetery.
Genau, hier neben war ja die eigentliche Leichenhalle, die natürlich dann auch zerstört wurde.
This was cemetery house. Yes, cemetery house. Building.
And that was destroyed. That was destroyed in the 1930s.
I don't know when ist es zerstört worden oder
Das ist also von Nazis zerstört worden.
This was destroyed by the Nazis.
Section,
Das ist ja dann später geregelt worden.
And it was more like an apartment house, in other words. And every family had one room. Our family was in one room, and the other Jewish families were in another room. And one thing I do remember, on October 25th,
Excuse me.
Story. I mean, he wrote the story. We were all taken out early in the morning and put on a truck, and they took us to the Bahnhof, to the railway station.
Und dann die Badischen, die Mannheim und Karlsruhe.
It was 6,500, I think. 65 Jews were
So it was
from this region.
825 from the Pfalz, 5,800 from Baden. They arrived on the same day in Gurs. Oloron, Sainte-Marie,
Oloron, Sainte-Marie, that was the
that was the
station.
station, and then they took you by buses or by Lastwagen, by trucks to the camp. And among those who came from Baden, among those 5,700, I found about 500 or 600 who were originally also from the Pfalz. So there were about 1,500 people from the Pfalz of Gürs.
I don't remember too much from Gürs, but I remember Rizal.
So you were only about 4 months in Gürs, and then in March 41 you were taken to Greifswald.
I think so, right.
10th of March,
Right.
1941.
And I was there for about a year and a half maybe, and then they took me out of the camp.
Did they took you? I didn't understand. Did they took you out at the same time when they took out your brother?
No. Okay, that's the whole story. You didn't read my book.
Ah,
Okay,
then
what
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I read it.
Okay. When I was in Gürs with my brother,
Yeah.
the Quakers,
Ah, yeah.
Quakers decided to take 50 children and put them in an orphanage, a Christian orphanage.
Ja.
Well, did you have a chance to read my book? There's a story
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
director of the orphanage. His son contacted me, and he wrote me a letter. His son was a good friend of my brother because they were the same age. So they spent a lot of time together. Okay, that's the story is also in the book. If you need copies, I will gladly send you copies because I have other copies. Two didn't survive. What happened is that I was then placed in a home in San Rafael, and I was corresponding with my parents and my brother. Okay, because I had learned how to write in 1 year, whatever, but I was able to write postcards. And my brother said to me, I'm going back to Rivesaltes to visit our parents. But he was betrayed because that was the time when they collected all the Jews in the southern part of France. And they said, you have a chance to visit your parents in the camp. And then they closed the camp and they put them on the transport.
From France to Auschwitz.
And it left Drancy, France, in the camp in France. From Rivesaltes they went to Drancy. And it left Drancy September 11th, 9/11.
Yeah.
That's the date of the World Trade Center.
You mentioned that too.
1942. Right.
Yeah, September 11th.
Right.
From Drancy to Auschwitz.
And there were 1,000 Jews on that transport, and I think only 4 survived. And most of them were put directly into the gas chamber, including Günther. Now, he was bar mitzvahed in Toulouse, because Aspet was near Toulouse. So they still had a small Jewish congregation. They took him from the orphanage to Toulouse, and he was bar mitzvahed in April. I think it was April. And in September 11th to 14th, they gassed him in Auschwitz. That was your buddy.
Yeah.
Sad story. Sad story. Did you read his letter?
Yeah.
Wasn't that a wonderful letter for
Emotional.
Very emotional. And they were good people. I mean, they were people that tried to help, you know.
Yeah.
And they were Christian people. They were not only Jewish people. And, you know, people all over the world, I mean, that are helpful, that wanted to good, you know. So we had, you know, I was fortunate. The Quakers, the Christian people, right? And you know, the interesting part of the Quakers is that when Hitler was not in power yet, when he was in jail, the Quakers helped him. They helped him because he was depressed. He was already, you know, people were against him. And that's why when we came in, the Quakers went to him and said, I want you to help us protect some of the Jews. In other words, the Quakers had influence on Hitler because they had helped him. I read that somewhere. It's that kind of stuff. You know. It's very interesting. But again, you know, there's a possibility for the picture to get translated, and even if it means for me to spend some money. If I have money to have it printed, I would gladly, you know, contribute. Because I wrote this for him and for his generation. And I think that all children, all over, will have an opportunity to learn all over. Will have an opportunity. I'm not the only one that wrote books. I mean, there are many survivors that wrote books. But I think at least in this area, children living in this area, they would feel more, you know, of compassion because for people that are close to them. If you talk about 7 million, that's nothing. It's just a number.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
without faces.
Right. I mean, you see the young people today, they came to me and they wanted to be photographed because they feel a connection. If you talk about 7 million, it means just 7 million, you know. But if you have connection, it means so much more. Am I right? And the woman had a child, and he decided to flee. He had to flee because it was during the Nazi period. So he went, somehow he ended up in France, and he went with a group of Jewish what do they call them? Jewish, the people that...
Partisans?
No. In Israel, the people that started the
Irgun?
For a kibbutz. Well, the people that started the kibbutz. Okay. And he ended up in... Well, there's a name for that.
They'll come to you.
All right. And in any case, he ended up in Israel. And that's how I found out that I had cousins there. But that was my
You don't remember his father's first name? You don't remember?
No, but I may be able to get it for you if you're interested. But,
I suppose your grandfather Simon was not born in Kirjampur.
I'm not sure.
I think he was not, because I didn't find his birth date.
You didn't have any records here, right?
No, they didn't.
He must have come. They all came from Kessenbach.
You know, your mother came from
That was right. So they must have met something.
But how did they come to it?
My mother, I know, when she was a young woman, she was in Wiesbaden. She worked in Wiesbaden. That part I remember.
I may find out. I find out some genealogical information.
There's more information now that you can get.
I
Well, who is that other cousin that you had that lives
that
in Fort Lee?
contacted us. Bei uns ist das
Hier hat das Hotel gestanden, in dem Mozart übernachten hat.
War die Post?
Das Hotel für einen
Old Post.
Ja, und das ist
Bye, Dankeschön.
He's going to give us a plan.
Who? There's a dog, girls. Here's Jeremy's shoes, girls. There's Jeremy taking a picture. Jeremy is finally realizing that I am a little nuts.
Finally?
He never knew that before.
I knew that already.
We did a group hug in the elevator.
Oh my God. I knew you were nuts, but I didn't know you were crazy when you almost killed us with that car.
How did I almost kill you? Explain what
Almost
happened.
Fell back down the hill and crashed into that guy. Oh, look, a cat.
So this is a medieval city, and that's the street that Dad lived on. So, did we know that he lived in a medieval city? Not really. And there's Dad talking and walking with Hans. I'm gonna try to get in front of them.
When you come back here, it doesn't have to be that long. He says you can take.
Okay.
When are we gonna go there?
Yes.
We're gonna go to the football?
Yes.
When do we do that? What's the itinerary now? Hans, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people. Are you people? I say hello to the people.
Okay.
Okay, is it enough?
I think it's enough for now.
It's in time.
This is the medieval city, the walls.
Yeah, take a look at here.
A beautiful day here in August. I would say it's about 68 degrees.
No. Put it down. So
Why? I want to hear the story.
You want over there is a guest house, or was a guest house. It was a house where I always had to fetch beer for my father when he was thirsty. So he sent me there, and I had a glass of beer or some cigars, took them home, and before I went in, I tried how it tasted.
You used to taste the beer?
Yes, before I took it home.
This is a place where I always bought sausage in the morning before going to school.
But these stores are still here. All these stores are still here.
My mother gave me 10 pfennigs, and I said a little bit of Fleischwurst. And I had it.
I don't know on what occasion that was. I'm not sure. Maybe you can find out why this happened. And he said that teddy bear was in his family for many, many years. So that made me feel that there was compassion, that people cared. And so there were many people that cared, right? That were compassionate.
He said to me after the meeting at the synagogue, he said, the meeting with you was very, very important for him.
Right.
And he had
tears in the eyes.
Right. Really.
Because he really felt that it was part of something that was positive, something that was good. Right?
Sehr schön war hier auch, dass wir wirklich noch das Grab der Schwester gefunden haben. Ja,
that's very important because the only cousin that's still living, my cousin in America, she said, see if you can find what happened if there was a grave for your sister. So now we have the photographs and we have all the information and we'll be able to see this is what we did. And they lived in outside.
Outside?
Yes.
They lived in outside.
They lived in outside. And
who was it in outside?
My mother's sister was in outside. She was married to a Strauss.
What's your aunt?
My aunt, right?
Tante.
Yeah. That's
and
it.
she was married to a Strauss, and he had a butcher shop in outside. And there were also other family members in outside. I don't remember their names anymore. I'm trying to remember. In other words, relatives, family of mine that lived there. Now, some of these people were able to go to America, but many of them were deported, including the sister of my cousins that live in America now. One of the sisters was also deported, and many people. So it's history. It's all history. I want to concentrate on the good things. I don't want to concentrate on the bad things. I've done that for many years, concentrating on bad things. Now I want to concentrate on good things. And this is certainly, my book was one of because I didn't always talk about bad things in my book. I talked about the people that helped me survive.
Yeah.
And these people were from all over. They were Jewish people, they were Christian people, they were all these people that helped. And that's why I'm here. Not because it wasn't a miracle, but it was people that cared. And unfortunately, my brother was not, you know. That was the other thing, the bad things. And these were French people, you know, that took him to the camp. So it wasn't all Germans that participated. And there were people, and the whole world participated because America didn't want us. Some of the people tried to go to America. They didn't accept any young children. England accepted 10,000 Jewish children from Austria and Germany. Those were the Kindertransport. America, and I was supposed to go on the Kindertransport, and I ended up in Marseille. And it was very difficult to get the boat moving, and all kinds of different things, political things happened. And by the time they said fine, the Allies had invaded North Africa, and the boat could not leave anymore. So I got stuck in Europe. And I was hidden. Well, my book tells you the story. I was hidden on a farm in the Ardèche, and I worked on the farm. But the people were Protestant. They were wonderful people. They said they were wonderful people. We went there. I was there with my wife twice.
Yes.
And it was a wonderful family.
We were there Easter Sunday, and her children didn't come, and she said, God sent you to us to visit and make us happy for the day. And
their name was Mas. And they were poor people. They were not wealthy people, right? They were paysans. They called them paysans. And they lived up in the mountains. And the farmland was not very easy. It was not flat. It was all rocky and mountainous. And so they were not rich. They had one cow and one pig and chickens and rabbits.
They didn't even have sheep or goats.
they had goats.
No, they had no sheep. They didn't have sheep.
But they cooked those.
You said you thank me for the nice weather.
Yes.
My chance is to thank those people who made your stay here.
Well, absolutely,
wonderful.
absolutely.
I will start to the right, the Kirchambolanden, the Beigeordnete. I don't know how to translate it.
Wait a minute.
She is the representative of the Bürgermeister, deputy.
Deputy Burgermeister.
Mr. Juppe, Mr. Stumpfhäuser, and of course here the couple, which is so perfect in helping, and he's loving. It's really a good thing if they weren't here. This your stay wouldn't have been that wonderful.
Wonderful.
That's true.
That's absolutely
So
right.
again, I thank you. You can give my wishes to your Bürgermeister when he comes back.
Right.
He has missed something today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we want to.
Aber ich möchte auch noch einen Satz da nehmen, vielleicht übersetzen können. Ein Satz. Das war für uns natürlich auch, nachdem der Elmar Funk hat ja gesagt, es war schon eine gewisse Spannung auch für uns, ja.
There was a certain tension.
Und auch Unsicherheit teilweise, ja. Aber sie haben uns das so leicht gemacht, durch ihre Herzlichkeit, ja. Und das war für uns ganz entscheidend.
Well, the feeling is mutual.
Yeah. I had the impression that they understand each other.
Absolutely, absolutely.
After some moments. And that's what I already have also experienced last night when he phoned me the first time, and I heard his voice for the first time. I only could read his emails, he said. Right?
Well, people would ask me over the years, they would say, why didn't you go back? And I would say, I don't know anyone there. I don't have a feeling for anyone there. But now I realize that I was wrong.
Yeah.
In 2007, I decided to write a book about my experience hiding from the Nazis entitled Rescued. My son Lionel said that the return to the town of my birth should be the final chapter. Recently, some people of the town of Keşanbulanden decided to translate my book into German. Their version included our return visit. It is my hope that my writings will be a call for serious reflections and will benefit future generations to come.